The last time the American farming was this bad, it was 1980s. Farms were being foreclosed on across the Midwest. Families that had worked the land for generation lost everything. Farmers' suicides spiked, rural communities were hollowed out. It was one of the darkest chapters in American agricultural history. And right now, in 2026, farm advocates are saying we are back. Nick Lewandowski, executive director of Kansas Farmers Union, said American farmers are in, and I'm quoting directly, the worst financial setting they've been in since the 1980s farm crisis. And here's what makes this even worse. In 1980s, at least the government agencies that were supposed to help farmers were fully staffed. The USDA was there, the Farm Service Agency was there, the offices were open, the phones were answered. Today, Trump gutted the entire department, and now farmers who are drowning in debt can't even get someone on the phone to help them apply for aid. Let me give you numbers because they are staggering. Since Trump took the office in January 2025, more than 24,000 people have left the USDA. That's a 27 reduction in the entire department's workforce. Every single USDA agency saw between 11% and 37 staff cuts. The National Agricultural Statistics Service, the agency that collects data on livestock and crop production, lost 37% of its staff. More than a third of the people who track what's happening to American farms are gone. And this wasn't a natural turnover. This was Doge, Trump's Department of Government Efficiency. This was Dodge, Trump's Department of Government Efficiency Initiative. This was Dodge, Trump's Department of Government Efficiency Initiative. This was Dodge. Trump's Department of Government Efficiency Initiative pushed mass resignations. Almost 3/4 of the employees who left took a deferred resignation program agreement between February and April 2025. They were offered paid leave for several months if they agreed to walk away. And thousands took the deal because the writing was on the wall, and when they walked out the door, the institutional knowledge walked out with them. Now let me tell you what this actually means for a farmer on the ground, because this is where it gets real. The Farm Service agencies, the office farmers go to when they need help. Financial assistance, disaster relief, crop insurance, love interest loans, all of it goes through the FSA. When your crops fail or your prices collapse or you can't make your payments, the FSA is the lifeline. Kansas lost about a quarter of its FSA staff. A quarter. And Lewandowski described what that means perfectly. He said if a country is already dealing with fewer staff than they had to begin with, the work just keeps stacking up and you can't pile anymore or without burnout. Where do these farmers go? That's the question. When the USDA office in your county has half the staff it used to have, and the remaining employees are buried under twice the workload, and you are a farmer who needs help applying for disaster relief before you lose your farm, where did you go? The answer right now is nowhere. You wait. And while you wait, the bills pile up and bank says no, and your farm goes under. And remember what we covered in our previous videos, banks are already refusing to lend to farmers. John Boyd Jr., the soybean farmer, said 2 banks told him that they won't extend credit as long as tariffs are in place. Less than half of farm borrowers are expected to be profitable in 2016 according to American Bankers Association. So when the private sector won't help, the federal government is supposed to be backstop. And Trump just fired 27% of the backstop. And Lewandowski nailed why this is so devastating. He said farmers had been dealing with an understaffed USDA since the Obama administration. Then Biden hired new staff to fill the gaps. Things were getting better, and then Dodgy came in and wiped all the new hires plus more. His exact words, it's like a 2 steps forward, 3 steps back problem. They're worse off now than before the hiring even started. Now let's talk about something that most people are thinking about, but should terrify everyone who eats food in this country. The Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, FHIS, is the agency that tests crops and livestock for disease. They inspect produce, they monitor for pests, they keep diseases from spreading across the food supply. Texas lost APHIS employees, and Dale Murden, president of Texas Citrus Mutual, explained why that's a disaster. Texas sits right on the Rio Grande. There's no physical barrier stopping pests and diseases from crossing over from Mexico and South America. APHIS is the only thing between those threats and America's food supply. And he warned warned about the New World Screw War, a rim-jarring past threat. If that hits Texas citrus and there aren't enough apis workers to respond, 50 million cartons of grapefruits and oranges and over 50 varieties of vegetables are at risk. That's not just a Texas problem, that's a food supply problem for the entire country. And then there's the conservation. The Natural Resources of Conservation Service helps farmers invest in conservation projects, things like water saving infrastructure, soil management, and environmental sustainability. These are expensive projects that farmers can't afford on their own. NRCS provides payment assistance to make it possible. NRCS lost 2,400 staff members, the 21% of the entire agency. In Nebraska alone, they lost a quarter of their staff, and Callie Olson from the Center of Rural Affairs explained why the timing is terrible. Congress just passed the Inflation Reduction Act and the one of the Big Beautiful Bill Act, both of which invested billions in conservation programs. The money is there, but there aren't enough people left to distribute. So think about that. Congress allocated historic funding for farm conservation. The money is sitting there, but the staff who are supposed to process applications, provide technical assistance, and help farmers access the program, they've been fired. The money exists and farmer can't get into it because people who connect farmers to the money are gone. And it gets even worse. The agency that runs SNAP and WAC, the programs that help struggling families afford food, lost 31% of its staff. And the SNAP ED program, which helps SNAP recipients make healthier food choices, was completely cut through the Big Beautiful Bill. In Illinois alone, 250 extension positions funded through SNAP and were eliminated. 250 extension positions funded through SNAP were eliminated. These were people who worked directly with families in need. So let me pull all this together because the picture is devastating. American farmers are in the worst financial crisis since the 1980s. Tariffs collapsed their export markets. China left. Brazil stole the soybean market permanently. Crop prices are below the cost of production. Bankruptcies are exploding. Arkansas up 106%. Iowa up 220%. Wisconsin up 700%. Banks are refusing to lend, and farmer suicide calls are up 5x. And the one government department that's supposed to help them through all of it, the USDA, just lost 24,000 workers. The offices are understaffed and no one is helping them because all this is happening just because the one guy who just wants to do tariffs on people who's feeding us, Trump. Trump said Dodge would make government more efficient. For farmers, it made government disappear. And when the worst farm crisis in 40 years meets an agency that's been gutted by 27%, the people who suffer aren't bureaucrats in Washington. Their families in Kansas, Texas, Nebraska, Iowa, and Arkansas who are losing their farms while the government that's supposed to help them can't even pick up the phone. If you found the video informative, I'd really appreciate it if you can just sub to my channel because I'm doing a video every day and I'm really doing my best. Thank you so much. Comment down below and like the video too.